So you join a new team as a software engineer and things just don't quite feel right. You feel anxious, you feel that something about the culture is not quite right. Maybe you have issues with some of your coworkers. And this is the moment when you might start thinking that something is wrong with you, and since you're an outsider, maybe you're not getting something and maybe you're the one to blame. So I want you to stop feeling this way and continue watching this video if you're going through something like that. My name is Nadia, I'm a software engineer living and working in London, and on this channel I talk about learning to code and building a career in tech. I hope you'll find this video interesting and continue watching. So what makes for an unhealthy engineering team? I think there are many things that can go wrong in a team, and the saddest thing is that not all of them have to go wrong at the same time. Usually it's just enough for one of those things to go wrong, but also sometimes you'll be really unlucky and experience working in a team where a whole bunch of stuff just goes sideways. I think one of the biggest things that can kind of make or break an engineering team is actually the quality of the engineering manager that you have. When it comes to management, it's weird, and the relationship between engineers and engineering managers is also kind of strange. And I think that there is a whole spectrum of bad managers, kind of going from, on the one hand, you would have the micromanager. This is somebody who is like very involved in everything you do as an engineer. They will be chasing you down with some questions on your pull request. They will be really anxious about you working at specific hours, and they will be controlling you and like your every move. Luckily, I don't have much experience with micromanagers, but I've heard stories of managers being a little bit too involved in what engineers do, which doesn't do much to either build trust and will just cause a lot of resentment from engineers towards their managers. And on the other side of the spectrum, you would have the very relaxed and kind of hands-off sort of engineering manager. This is somebody who has this approach of giving their engineers a lot of freedom, not getting involved, and kind of just being very chill about the whole experience. It might be a little bit challenging for engineers to understand what do those managers actually do and kind of why they're so hands-off. And there is logic behind it, and there is a certain philosophy behind it. Kind of one of the ideas that I've heard is that by acting this way, managers empower their direct reports, their engineers, to grow and take on bigger and bigger responsibility and just develop their skills, and etc, etc, etc. However, the issue with hands-off managers is that they can actually not notice issues in the team. So if there is a toxic coworker, if there is some conflict, if there's something like that, a very hands-off manager, first of all, they might not notice this issue because they don't kind of follow the stuff, or they might notice it, but they will choose not to get involved because, again, this is kind of their thing of being hands-off and not involved. And with the micromanagers that I just mentioned, they kind of might try to solve things, or they might get too involved, but this will feel weird to everybody, and again, this will lead to unhealthy atmosphere within the team. I think that engineering managers are one of the most important kind of aspects in the health of an engineering team, and I think that overall it's hard to change. Like, I don't think it's possible to change your engineering manager. Like, they are like what they are, and their approach is what it is. I think that you can help them become a better manager for your team, but this is a topic for a follow-up video. A second symptom of an unhealthy culture might be a team where people don't really talk to each other. They only talk to each other when they have to. So think like daily rituals, stand-ups, retrospectives, planning meetings, and this is the only places where people talk, and they don't have, like, they are not building any kind of personal relationships at all. This is, to me, it seems a little bit unhealthy. I know that different cultures treat this thing differently. In some cultures, you are expected to share like really personal stuff about your personal life, your health, with your coworkers very quickly. In other countries, it's just completely unacceptable. But still, I think that after a while, there should be a certain level of trust and connection between people who are working with each other. And if you notice that people are not connected at all, this might be a sign of something going wrong, and this might be something that you are able to change. But also just be aware that this is not normal, at least in my view. So another sign of an unhealthy team can be something called high attrition, which means that a lot of people are leaving the team and also consequently a lot of people are joining the team. So this can happen for a variety of reasons. Some of them might be really bad, that kind of the company is going down the drain or something like that. Some of this might happen actually for personal reasons, because it just might happen that a lot of people decide to change jobs at the same time. It's good to ask about attrition and kind of the state of your team before you join, but also very often you don't get to ask those questions for many reasons. So say you already joined a team and you see that a lot of people have recently left and you find yourself hired with a bunch of new joiners on the team. Why is this unhealthy? Well, mostly because there won't be enough people on the team who have the necessary product and technical context to guide you and help you on board. So what might happen is that you might start feeling very inadequate and you might have this imposter syndrome hit you really hard, because you will see that you're not making enough progress, the team is not moving fast enough, you find yourself in a position of not being able to answer questions, of just not being able to solve issues on your own, and you might just feel very bad about yourself. But again, this is kind of not you, this is them. I had this experience in my life where I had to work on a very small engineering team. I think it was just three engineers on a team. It was one of the smallest engineering teams in the company, I think. And this period was one of the most stressful and uncomfortable periods in my software engineering career, simply because just the level of stress and kind of the level of me feeling inadequate was something that I really don't want to experience ever again. But sometimes you are in this position, and I think that just knowing that this is unhealthy and this is not the way it's supposed to be is something that can really empower you and help you survive this phase. And you will survive it. I did. So that's, I think, sign number 3. So another sign of an unhealthy team that you might be unlucky enough to experience is having someone on a team who can be described as a brilliant jerk. And I think that this title is kind of pretty self-explanatory. So a brilliant jerk is somebody who is able to deliver things very quickly, who's able to ship code constantly, who is always on top of stuff, but who also behaves like a jerk. And I think that intuitively we all know when somebody is behaving like a jerk, and I think that probably the jerk also knows when they're being a jerk, at least I hope so. But kind of a good rule of thumb is that if you're feeling uplifted by an interaction with somebody, or you're being kind of brought down, and this is a way to understand whether the person you're working with is behaving like a jerk right now. So why is having a brilliant jerk on your team unhealthy or bad for your team? So I think the thing about jerks is that unless you're like super confident of yourself and you have done like years of therapy and your confidence is not to be ruined by anyone, somebody who does this thing where they are always saying that this task is easy, like I can ship this project in 3 days, and then you look at the task and you look at the project and you realize that there is no way you will be able to ship it in even a month. So if they consistently do that and your confidence is not there yet, or maybe you're a junior engineer just starting a new job, so this can really destroy your confidence, because you will be constantly comparing yourself to this person and asking this question, like, why is this so easy for them and why is it so hard for them, for me, right? And I think that if this happens frequently enough and if it affects enough people, it can really kind of ruin the confidence of the whole team and influence the productivity of a lot of engineers on their team, not just you. Some companies have this no jerk policy. I think Netflix has it, where they just explicitly don't hire jerks or kind of try to get rid of them if they, get in the company. A lot of companies don't enforce this. They say that they hire nice people, but this is too vague, right? So I think that it's hard to solve this problem, but hopefully just knowing this about the jerks and how they affect someone's confidence can be of help. I think that just owning your emotion and kind of knowing what happens, it can reduce the severity of the emotion so much. So these were some of the signs of unhealthy teams that I have seen and experienced, and I'm sure there are plenty more. I would be very curious to hear what unhealthy teams you have seen and kind of what experiences you have had. Let me know in the comments whether the stuff that I've been talking about resonated with you. In my next video, I'm going to talk about the things that you can do to help make your team healthier. And I believe that even as an individual contributor, as a software engineer, you do have the power and you have the tools to make things easier for you and your teammates. Like, you cannot solve everything, but you can certainly make things better, and you don't have to suffer. Even if you are just a software engineer, a junior software engineer, even if you just joined the team, you can still change things for the better. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.